Hello, hello, everybody. How are you? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from whichever part of the world you are currently listening or watching us from. Now, I have another powerful guest today on the show, another very experienced man on the show. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. So, if you can hear me from wherever you are, I want you to please type I can hear you in the comment section. I just want to be sure that I am not speaking to myself. So while we wait for more people to join, hi, I see all of you. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. So while we wait for more people to join, I want you all to please like and share this broadcast. Like and share. Share this broadcast to all the groups, all the Facebook groups, YouTube groups, and all the groups all the communities you're part of. Share to them so that somebody would be happy to learn from this great man today. All right. So while we're waiting for more people to join, I am doing the same thing. I am sharing to my private groups. Let's get this done. Yes, if you are just joining, yes, you are at the right place. You are in the right place. We are just sharing this broadcast so that everyone in our network would have the opportunity of learning from what we're about to put out there today. Welcome, 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 welcome. I see all of you. I see all of you. Like and share the broadcast. That's what we are doing. It's a beautiful day. I like to remind everyone that every day above ground is a blessed day. For as long as you can hear us, for as long as you can see us, it means you have the best gift, which is the gift of life. So, whatever challenges you are going through, you still have the opportunity to overcome. Whatever goals you have set for yourself, you still have the opportunity to accomplish those goals. All right. Great, great, great. Welcome, welcome. I see you. Yes, if you're just joining and you can hear me, please type I can hear you in the comment section. Welcome, everybody. So let's go straight to our introduction. If you're just joining us for the very first time, this is the Morale Booster. It is a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I always like to explain to people that experience is the best teacher. And that's why we always make sure we bring in quality guests, people with experience, people who can help you transition from where you are currently in your life, your job, your business to that place that you've always desired. All right. And this program is sponsored by Main Seat Consulting and newgigs.com. For bookings, adverts, or sponsorship inquiries, please visit johnughulu.com. JOHNUGHULU.com. Or you could send an email to info@johnughulu.com. All right. So thank you, everybody. I see you. Those of you on YouTube, yes, you know what to do, right? Those of you who are listening via podcasts, you also know what to do. Like and share this broadcast. All right. So, our guest for today is a man. His name is Curt Mercadante, and Curt helps executives, entrepreneurs, and wannapreneurs shift their beliefs, clear their blocks, and align their behaviors to attract the clients, the relationships, health, and prosperous life they desire. And for 25 years, that's over 2 decades, he has counseled small businesses. He has counseled small businesses, entrepreneurs, as well as some of the largest corporations and associations in the country. He's built three profitable businesses, including a seven-figure PR and advertising agency. Now, Kurt has trained, coached, and also delivered keynotes and workshops to clients across the globe. Kurt is a certified human behavior consultant, a certified law of attraction practitioner, and the Certified Ho'oponopono Practitioner, host and creator of the Freedom Media Network, and also he's an author of the best-selling book, Five Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle. Now, Kurt, his wife, and their four children currently reside in Sedona, Arizona, following a year of traveling the country as part of their freedom lifestyle. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to join me as I bring to the stage this great man, this well traveled man, this powerful coach and entrepreneur, no other person but Curt Mercadante. Curt, thank you so much for joining us on this program.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. I know we were saying we booked this a long time ago, so I'm real
Yeah,
excited to be here with you. Thank you very much.
you're very welcome. And, you know, based off of your accomplishments, you're doing a wonderful job. And right now, the world needs more of people like you. You know, we just got out of a pandemic, right? And we thought that was like going to be the last crisis. But right now, we're having something else going on in Europe. And you know that the level of depression globally has increased,
Mm.
the level of anxiety has increased globally, you know. So the world needs more of your services. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, thank you. And I spent years. You mentioned the PR and ad agency that I had over 14 years. A little over 4 years ago, at peak revenue, I fired all my clients and shut it down. The
Ah,
reason I did that was because I didn't have freedom and fulfillment. Now, how this ties back to what you just said is for much of those 4 years, I was involved. I worked on Capitol Hill. I ran political campaigns. I was involved in not only being obsessed with the news, but helping to craft the news. And there's
wow.
something I learned. It's that what we look at as news and being informed is actually entertainment. And it's become more and more like entertainment. I don't care if it's the right or left, whatever it is. I have stories about them coaching people to say what they're going to say on the quote news.
Right,
And whether it's what you mentioned over the last 2 years or what we're seeing now going on in Europe, what I've noticed is I can clearly tell if someone is attached to the news by how panicked they are, by how anxious they are. And you don't have to be obsessed and actually watch the news to be informed.
right.
We have a no news rule in our house. I know everything that's going on. And so when I say, listen, I had to have someone else tell me that there was a war going on in Ukraine. Someone said, "Oh my gosh, you're not informed." Well, my response to him was, "Well, what are you doing other
True.
than putting the Ukrainian flag on your social media? Are you going to go over and fight? Are you sending money? Are you doing anything?" And most of the people say no. And so I like to say it's easy to live in what I call a bot society, where we think that staring at a screen or hitting a hash or using a hashtag or hitting a like is the same as actually taking inspired action. And it's not. What it's doing is it's making you a victim of someone else's agenda. And
Right,
that's not saying COVID isn't important or Ukraine's not important. What it's saying is you might have kids, you might have clients, you have yourself to take care of. If I sit and worry about Vladimir Putin all day, what am I actually doing? What am I doing about it?
true.
And so taking that inspired action, turning off the news, being focused on what you can control, which is very finite in the whole scheme of things, is one of the keys. And I know that as someone who used to be out of control, who used to try to control people's minds, I was in charge of the media and doing it. I know how it all works. And so having come out from that other side of the matrix, I can tell you that your attention is for sale. And the more you give it away, the more of a victim you become.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. You know, you talked about having a no news rule, right?
Mm.
Which I see as a very important strategy. You know, I still have young kids, so I encourage them not to, have access to all these their gadgets, the games, uh, TV from Mondays through Fridays. So when they get back from school on Friday, yes, they can have that all weekend, right? Now, the news is part of what is causing the depression and the
Mm.
anxiety. here. And really, if one doesn't have any positive contribution to make, there is no point, you know, spending the whole day, and it's very addictive. I talked about this same thing some days ago, and you're right about that. While I was driving to work, I was listening to the radio, and a man flew all the way from the United States to Poland.
Mm,
A US citizen flew over to Poland, and what he does there right now, they're like 10 minutes away from the border, from the Ukrainian border to Poland. He cooks. He
mm,
built an army of people who are willing to join him to cook. He's the lead chef there. He's in the kitchen cooking and serving hot meals to those people who are crossing over. Yes, those are the people who watched the news and took action.
right. Right.
You can imagine. When I heard that man say that,
Mm.
I was almost like saying I was going to book a flight and just still go and start inspiring people there. It's all about taking action, and that's what you're doing. We really appreciate what you do. And you talked about, or rather, you are a certified Ho'oponopono practitioner. Can you please tell us what that is?
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, so Ho'oponopono is an ancient healing practice, and going way back, it was a group practice where people would come together in a group in a village, and they would share their fears and their anxieties and
Okay.
maybe limiting beliefs or sickness or anger. I'm angry at this person in the village, and what they would do is they would put it out there. And as humans, our inclination is you came to me with a problem, and in my mind, it's like I have to fix you. Well,
Right.
Ho'oponopono isn't about that.
Okay.
Ho'oponopono is based on the principle that because you've come into my life, you and I now have a connection. And instead of trying to fix you, there's something inside of me through this connection that is causing you pain. So if you have anxiety and you tell me about it, this has now become part of my responsibility, not my fault, but my responsibility. And so Ho'oponopono is 4 key phrases that I say to myself to try and cut these cords. And I don't go into it with I'm going to help John. I'm going to
Right.
cure John. It's I'm going to I'm going to get rid of and dissolve whatever in myself might be causing John pain. And it's a
Oh,
hard concept for people to grasp. Where this came into kind of mainstream or Western civilization was Dr. Joe Vitale
okay.
learned of a Hawaiian therapist who supposedly healed an entire ward of dangerous, violent um, uh, patients in a psychiatric hospital without seeing or visiting or meeting with a single one of those patients. Well, how does that happen?
Wow.
He used Ho'oponopono and looked at their charts, looked at their names, looked what was hurting them, and said, what inside of me is causing them pain? By clearing himself out, he helped those patients. And
Wow.
it's 4 key phrases. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And whatever spiritual tradition you come from, love, forgiveness, and gratitude are key principles, even if you're an atheist. Love, forgiveness, and gratitude. And it's not a forgiveness in terms of guilt. I'm
Right.
guilt and shamed. It's when you do it for yourself, it's kind of like I do it when I meditate in the morning. Is we all have these limiting beliefs or beliefs that come up, or the rent is due, or whatever, right? And
Right.
I'm never going to
Right.
get another client. What I use as Ho'opono for myself is I'm sorry for that limiting, stupid, bogus belief. Please forgive me. And I'm saying forgive me to the divine, right? You could say it to God. You could say it to yourself, right? And then you go into, you know what? I'm a prosperous creator. Thank you. I love you. And you're saying it to yourself. And you move from there. It is an
Wow.
incredible healing technique. If people
Wow.
you know are in pain, you can work to heal them, not going into it saying, I'm going to heal them. Heal yourself first. If you're
Right.
attracting people into your life that you don't like, it's your responsibility. There's a reason you're people who wake up in a bad mood every morning and they're ornery. Guess who they attract? Other ornery people.
True.
So it's
True.
not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And Ho'oponopono is about taking 100% responsibility by going in and clearing your beliefs, clearing the programming that we all pick up. Dr. Hu Len, who is that therapist, says we either operate from memory or inspiration. And what he means by memory is subconscious programming, limiting beliefs. You grow up and maybe you hear society or your parents telling you, or teachers, or you hear it in the background, right? Because of the color of your skin, you're not as good and you need a big head start over this other person who has a different color of your skin. What kind of programming do you think puts that in the back of your head, that I'm not as good as him because he's white? And
Right.
all of that stuff is memory. Once you
Right.
clear it out, then you can operate from the starting line, from a fresh slate, from inspiration, and say, I can create whatever I want. But you can't get there if you've got all that memory and that beliefs that are just clogging the drain.
That's true. That's true. Now that's a great strategy with the whole Ponopono thing. You mentioned four things there. Learning how to say I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. Those are healing. Those are therapeutic normally. Those
Yeah.
words are therapeutic. Those words are magical.
Yeah.
And any practice that enforces or encourages those four magical words is a great practice, and you're doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The
Yeah,
alternative is victimhood, victimization. And if you don't take responsibility, then how can you ask for forgiveness?
true.
And it's always someone else's fault. It's Biden's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's Putin's fault. Take responsibility. If you have, we always want to think in terms of good or evil.
Right.
And a lot of that is programming. We talked about the news. And it's so interesting that all of a sudden, people who can't pick Ukraine out on a map are suddenly obsessed with Ukraine.
Yes.
But when you step back and realize that it's, did anyone know where Rwanda was
No,
during the genocide?
not everyone. Yep.
What's going on with the Uyghurs in China? No one seems to care about that. When you step back and turn off the news, you look at it and realize, man, the world is a chaotic place. There are people hurting. And instead of saying good versus evil, this person's mean and we have to fight, we got to go to war, stepping back and saying, I love all of humanity. And there's a lot of suffering going on in humanity. And perhaps if we all stepped back, yielded, took a deep breath, said, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and said, listen, the hate in the heart of a Russian tyrant or someone in Ukraine or whatever, let's heal ourselves first.
Right.
And
Right.
can you imagine if a million extra people started having this raised vibration and frequency of consciousness of peace, rather than joining in and saying, let's go to war. Okay, Putin's evil, let's go bomb him. Because now the problem is because of that, I see people punishing Russian people.
Right. 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 That
And
would
yeah,
that would not solve the problem. And if really the world and individuals can practice this which you're talking about, the world will be a better place. And that's why on this show we always try to bring in people who can add value, and that's who you are. You are someone whose message needs to be heard all over the place right now. These are the things people need to hear to help
yeah.
them reduce the anxiety, to help them forgive themselves and move on, to help them contribute to making the world a better place. And thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank
Now,
you.
let's go
Thank
to
you.
your business coaching.
Yeah.
I see you are a business coach. You've worked with several individuals from, one you call it wannapreneurs,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, those who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs. You've worked with seasoned entrepreneurs. You've helped businesses grow. So, how did you? What made you develop a passion for that niche, the business coaching niche?
Yeah, when I was 9 years old, my dad had been a corporate executive for his entire career, and he was in his mid 50s. He was older when he had me, so he was in his mid 50s. I was about 9 years old, and he'd been president of these major companies. Always worked in corporate, but he found himself out of work in his mid
Oh,
50s, in the early 80s, and no one wanted to hire a mid 50s president
oh, he
who might
lost the
retire
job.
in 10 years.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
lost the job. Oh, okay.
yeah, and
Wow.
he got a newspaper route. In his mid 50s, he was the president of these companies. He hadn't saved his money. He had spent a lot of our money. So he went and got a newspaper route to support the family. Now, I learned a lot from that. He would get me up at 3 or 4 in the morning. We go deliver newspapers. I hated it. I was 9 years old. It was like freezing. It was in the suburbs of Chicago. So I learned the toughness from that. But the biggest lesson I learned was after a while, my dad never complained about ageism, never complained about no one wants me, never complained about having to get up and deliver newspapers. He said, this is what we have to do. We're going to do it. But at one point, he put the brakes on and said, no one's going to hire me. Okay. I'm now an entrepreneur. He reinvented himself as an entrepreneur in his mid 50s, went on to work another 25 years, have an incredible career, patents. He had all the patents on the switches on the Boeing 777, did all these cool things. 25 years starting at age 55. What I learned from that was I had not only that, if you don't like your circumstances, change them. You can create whatever life you want, but also it's not too late to do that. And I got the entrepreneurship bug. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And in my 20s, I was working I was working for a large trade association, 9 to 5. And I said, I'm leaving and I'm starting my own company. People said, but you've never been the president of anything. You've never run anything. And I said, well, I don't care. I didn't get the memo. I guess I'm just too dumb. And I started a 7-figure agency for 14 years.
Wow.
And I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know how to make money. During that time, I started a second company that made 6 figures in the first 2 months. And 4 years ago, I shut it down because I was unfulfilled. I was unhappy. I was 60 pounds heavier. I was physically unhealthy. I wasn't mentally, physically present with my wife, my kids. I fired it and started this new company because I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people who really give a darn. A lot of these big trade association corporations, they didn't care. They just threw money. And I felt like I was just cashing checks and doing something that wasn't helping the world. When I help an entrepreneur, I'm helping the world. 3/4 of the jobs in this country are created by entrepreneurs, small business owners. I want to help them get to where they want to go. And if I have the knowledge to help them do that, thank goodness. And over time, we talked about Ho'opono and these beliefs. I've learned that everyone wants to focus on actions. Give me tools, give me tactics, give me the know-how. I can give you all of that. But if your beliefs are holding you back, all the know-how and the actions in the world aren't going to make a difference because your beliefs fuel your thoughts. You attached emotions to those thoughts, which fuel your actions, which fuel your results. Everyone just wants to focus on the actions. But your book, and this time, the morale booster, if you really want to boost your morale, yeah, taking action can get you there. But focusing on actions are why like gyms are full January 1st and then empty by the end of the month. Once you really clear out your beliefs, life becomes much easier because you're not trying to drive the car with one foot on the brake.
True.
That really helps your long-term morale because you're in a state of flow. You're doing what you want. You're creating it. You have those thoughts and emotions that are in line with beliefs and behaviors that get you where you want to go. That's when you start getting those outcomes and growing and learning every step of the way.
Wow, that's great, powerful. Now, for those of you who are listening to us, I told you that you would learn a lot from Curt. So while you are listening and learning, I want you to please remember to like and share this broadcast. Share it. We're not asking you for any money. We're just asking you to share this broadcast because you might just have that one person on your contact list who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear this message. You might just have that one person in your contact list who has made up his or her mind a few moments ago to just go and commit suicide, probably for a failed business. And all they needed to hear was just this message from Curt. I want you to please like and share it. That's what we're asking and pleading with you all. Thank you. So, Curt, right now, so many people are out of business. So many people lost their businesses during the pandemic. And a lot of them are depressed, anxious, right? What's your advice for such people on how to get back on their feet, how to start all over?
The thing about negative emotions is that negative emotions like friends that look like them.
Yes.
So negative emotions lead to more negative emotions, lead to more negative emotions, which leads to a circle of addiction to negative emotions. Negative emotions create, like you've talked about, fear and anxiety, which
Right.
is a chemical reaction in your body producing
Right.
cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It's meant to protect us. If a lion jumps out in front of us, boom, you go, right? Or
Hmm.
a burglar, you might freeze as well.
Yes.
If you constantly have that cortisol going, it burns you out. It wears you down, but it keeps you at this heightened sense of fear and anxiety. Your body doesn't know the difference between that and a cup of coffee,
True.
between that and a bottle of bourbon. It's all a chemical to your body. So you become addicted. So the number one thing I urge people is put on the blinders and turn off the TV. Get rid of social media. Turn it off. There are some people out there, this will be as violent to them, as violent of a change as ripping a bourbon bottle out of an alcoholic's hands. I know this because I have clients who said, I can't do that. I have clients who refuse to do it. I have one client, he knows, he's stressed, he's anxious. And in the middle of our coaching call, he interrupts me 3 times to talk about, oh, so-and-so's coming out on TV right now. And I said, turn off the TV. Why do you need to have that? It's programming you for fear and anxiety. So
Right.
turn it off, turn off the social media, go inside yourself. You know, the Buddha talks about suffering, and a lot of people said, well, he's a downer. He says life is suffering. No, his point is this. His point is that nirvana isn't something you find after death. Nirvana is something you can find here on earth. The actual translation of nirvana is the cessation of thirst. We
Oh, okay.
create suffering by thinking the end to our anxiety and our happiness is somewhere out there. And so we constantly strive and we want more. And then we compare ourselves on social media to this person and the car they're driving. And we want that car because they had that car. And oh my gosh, someone says I got to be anxious about World War III. And so now I'm thinking about that. And then I go to this, right? Turn it off, turn off the noise, and find true freedom in silence. And silence is going inside yourself, not just physical silence where the noise is off, the mental noise, the chatter, social media, news, all of that. Go inside yourself and find that silence. The happiness is within. Once
True.
you realize that you don't need that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with stuff, but if that stuff owns you and you think you need it in order to be happy and joyful and end your anxiety, you're never going to get rid of that fear and anxiety because you're always going to be striving for it and causing that suffering.
True. True.
So I urge people,
That's
turn off the news, create that silence every day. Go to bed early. Don't stay up late and stare at the screens. Go to bed earlier. That enables you to get up before anyone else, even if it's dark, before the emails start, before the kids start making noise, before whatever it is. Sit, meditate in silence. Be present. Don't worry about your to-do list. Don't worry about your task list. Don't worry about the rent that's due next week. I literally focus on the feeling of my butt cheeks on the floor, right? Because it's present. I focus on my breathing into my belly. If I'm focusing on that, guess what I'm not focusing on 3 hours from now?
true.
If I'm focusing on the fact that my foot fell asleep, I'm focusing on right now instead of next week. Once you're present in silence, you realize right now is the only thing that actually matters because you and I could be dead this afternoon.
True.
And the more we worry about tomorrow, the less we live right now. And that's where the fear, that's where the anxiety is created. And in our society, people want to mask that with pharmaceuticals and other things. When the greatest pharmaceutical we have was given to us, it's silence. Go inside that silence. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Buddhist, it's all in all of those spiritual traditions. Silence, letting go, surrendering, not worrying, being present. And when you do that, I have some clients that I'm helping prevent getting on drugs. I have a 40-year-old client who said, my doctor told me I had ADHD, need to go on a drug. We went through his day. I said, well, it's no wonder you feel like you have ADHD. You set your alarm for 5:20, you hit snooze for an hour, you jump right into your email, then you run to work. No wonder you're anxious. You don't need a drug. You need silence. And he's
Silence.
changed his life by doing that.
Wow, wow, wow. Perfect, perfect. Now, these are great tips you just shared. You talked about self-reflection. You talked about turning off the noise because really and truly, The world is so noisy right now. And only those who know how to intentionally turn off that noise will be able to thrive and go to the next level. And you talked about going to bed early, which I completely agree with you. I need to also work on that as
Yeah.
well, going to bed early. I find myself staring at the computer, you know, wanting to do some more work and more work and more work. So that's a great reminder from you. Thank you so much. And you talked about sitting down and meditating. Meditation is paramount. It is
Yeah.
paramount. And I thank you for sharing these wonderful tips. And those of you who currently fall into this category of entrepreneurs who are now out of business, Curt is an expert. He can help you. He can work with you to help you get your business off the ground. And for those of you who already have businesses and are looking for strategies on how to move from where you are to where you want the business to be, Curt is also your man. So I want you to please look out for him, follow him on social media. Yeah, we will share with you all his social media platforms in a minute. Now, you are also an author. Do you have a copy of any of your book?
Yeah. If my book is Five Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle.
Five
And
pillars.
actually, if anyone watching or listening goes to my website, curtmercadante.com, um, we have a free audio course that actually you don't have to have read the book, but the book helps. It's basically an audio course based on the book. It's delivered to your inbox. It's got audio files so you can listen to it like a podcast where I lead you through those five pillars to help you build a roadmap to create freedom and really define what you want and reverse engineer it so that you
Right.
create those key milestones to get there. One thing I wanted to add really quick, or two, if I could add two quick things
Oh
to
yeah,
what
sure,
you asked
sure,
previously.
sure.
Number one is quick app for people who you mentioned at night staring at the screens.
Yes.
I get into those I get into those waves and cycles where I do that. If you go to freedom.to, it's an app that you can utilize across all your devices where you lock them down. So if you get
Oh,
into a
okay.
cycle where it's like, man, I just can't help staring at my phone after 5 p.m. and I'm not present with my kids, you can lock down your phone and all your email on all your devices, any social media, you can lock down specific URLs for hours. So sometimes what I do is I lock it down for everything except like the lunch hour. And then I
Right.
get on, I do social media, and then I tune it out for the day. And the great thing is once you lock it, you can't get in. Like you can't, like on my iPhone, I can limit certain sites, but they make it easy to
Right.
ignore it. This, you're locked down. And once you do it for a week, it's like tough love, like detoxing. And then
Hmm.
after that week, it's like, okay, I survive without social media and email after 5. I can do it from now on. So that's the one thing. The second thing is going back. If you're a business owner, you might have heard what I said about meditation. How's meditation going to help me rebuild my business? Go back to what I said during Ho'oponopono. Dr. Hu Len says we either operate from memory or inspiration.
Yes.
To find the inspiration to move yourself forward, you need to clear out the memories that are saying it's Biden's fault, it's Trump's fault, it's COVID's fault, I can't do it, I can't do it. Those are all memories based on limiting beliefs.
True.
And to inspire yourself to take action, to build your business, to rebuild your business, you got to clear out that garbage. If you don't clear out that garbage, it's Arnold Patton, who was an abundance author years ago, said, we humans don't create abundance, we create limitations.
True.
Abundance is in flow. Abundance is like a river that's already in flow. We don't create it. It's up to us whether to jump in or not. We don't create the river, but what we do create is dams. Our limiting beliefs put a dam on the river, and what we want, rebuilding your business, may just be is likely on the other side of that dam. And so you may be sitting here saying, oh, Curt, meditating is going to help me. Yeah, because it's going to tear down, it's going to obliterate, it's going to put dynamite under that dam. And then you can find that inspiration to move forward. So that's where the tie comes in.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful piece of information. And I know so many entrepreneurs, I have so many of them listening watching, and those of you who will be listening or watching the replay, please remember to type hashtag replay. That way we'll know you watched the replay and we'll know how to respond to your questions. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, what social media platforms are you active on?
Yeah. So my number one is LinkedIn. 90% of my revenue comes from LinkedIn. And so
Okay.
that's a big part. We have a freedom business growth boot camp where we teach. Part of what we do is teach people. We teach people to have the right message, right clients, but also we teach them how to use LinkedIn as a revenue source. I'm also, I've had a love-hate relationship with some other social media. I was on Facebook. I deleted it and then I reinstated it, and I'm curating very closely who I let into my network because of what we talked earlier, the noise.
Right.
And I don't want panicky people, fearful people in there, and people who are sharing political stuff all the time. I just don't need that in my life. I'm on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram. And I recently jumped into a foray with TikTok. So we're seeing how that's going. But if I can utilize, the key with social media, I think, is utilizing the tool instead of having the tool abuse you and use you.
Exactly. And that's what happens in most cases, Um, people have to be very careful. People have to understand that these things are addictive and time wasted can never be gotten back. So, people have to be intentional about what they do on their social media. So thank you so much for sharing. So for those of you who are listening via podcast, those watching via YouTube, Facebook, the website, his website is currently being displayed on the screen, curtmercadante.com. For those of you on podcast, it's CurtMercadante.com. I'll repeat it. It's CurtMercadante.com. CurtMercadante.com. Thank you so much, Curt. It's been a wonderful pleasure, having you on this program. I know you've inspired so many people out there, and thank God for technology. They keep resharing and rebroadcasting it and showing it. It's going to be there you know, for a very long time. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to showing up. We really do appreciate you. And I hope when next I call you on the program, you would join us and come over to share this greatness as well.
John, it has been a pleasure. It's been a great time. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for writing this book as well, and the donations and the work you do through the foundation. Did
Thank
I
you.
even have it on the screen?
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
it's so wonderful. So thank you for inspiring people and doing everything you do.
You're welcome, Sarah. Thank you. Keep doing what you do. The world needs you more than ever before. And thank God you have all the platforms to deliver your message. So keep doing what you do, keep shining your light. And for every other person, until same time, we're going to have another episode. I want you all to stay relaxed. All right. He said, turn off the noise. Turn off the noise. Let me remind you one more time the Ho'oponopono method. Always ask yourself, always say to yourself, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. All right. So thank you so much. I learned that and I really appreciate you. All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Take care of yourself. It's a great weekend over here in Atlanta, Georgia. And be safe, everybody. Thank you, Curt.
Thank you so much, John. Take care.
Bye.